My brother wants part of my inheritance because his $150,000 isn't enough. But when I refused, he lost everything trying to force his way into my house. This is a throwaway account, because I have family on my main one. I'm 37 years old, with two siblings, a brother, Mason, 43, and a sister, Brittany, 29. Our father died when we were young, due to an undiagnosed heart condition. His parents, our grandparents, had gifted our parents an old family home with a large piece of land for their wedding, and they helped them a lot to keep us afloat. After Dad passed away, our mother spent about 5 years in deep depression. Eventually, she pulled through and managed to take care of us well. But she was also very frugal. We always had good clothes, but never luxury vacations. For years, our mother ignored signs of poor health, even when we tried to convince her to see a doctor. Recently, she passed away from advanced stage cancer, leaving us with quite an inheritance. My siblings each received more than $150,000 in cash, along with sentimental but valuable objects and furniture. I didn't receive money, I inherited the house, the land, and some belongings. The house and land, which had been slowly sold off over the years to support Mom's health and her inability to maintain it, are worth much less than the $150,000 my siblings got. I moved in with my mother near the end. It was supposed to be temporary, since I thought the house would be sold after her death and the money split 3 ways. I had already planned to move in with a friend and her family after Mom passed, to make the process easier. Most of my things have been in storage for nearly a year. Since I was the only one working from home, I could keep an eye on the nurses and healthcare workers, to make sure they were kind, did their jobs, and didn't steal anything. Really, it was just to make sure they treated my mother with respect and care. But my brother was more worried about her wedding ring, since she was very attached to it. We had all agreed that the ring would go with her ashes. So I set up a small space and took care of her. My siblings visited often, about 3 to 6 times a week each. Mason has 2 kids, and Brittany only 1, they visited too, though less often near the end because it was difficult. In the weeks before her death, Mom had me pack what belonged to each sibling into large boxes and set them aside. My siblings hated that I did it, but they understood it was what she wanted. The will was read. They went through their boxes to make sure Mom hadn't forgotten anything, and then they left me with the house. Weeks passed, and I finally felt like I could start fixing it up. The house was in bad shape. It wasn't worth $150,000, but with the housing market, I thought I was lucky to have it. It needed repairs: roof, chimney, water heater, plumbing, doors, and windows to keep heat in. Inside, everything was painted dark or paneled in wood that absorbed all the light. I immediately called people to check the roof, chimney, and water heater. My siblings offered to lend me money, but I refused because I had already been saving to buy a small apartment, since I live alone. I also thought about renting out rooms to university students to make up some of the costs. I chose paint colors for the rooms, but left the wood floors. While cleaning the house, which, according to the will, belonged to me, I started finding things. Money hidden inside books, and there were a lot of books. Money taped under beds. Bills folded into fine sheets. Cash hidden in the teapot and cups we inherited, the ones we were never allowed to use for fear of breaking them. I found jewelry in boxes, in the attic, in air vents, in sock drawers. Some looked like trinkets, but I gathered everything, thank God, and took it to be appraised. The value of the jewelry was almost half of what my siblings had received. Even what looked like costume jewelry had real value. And I'm still finding things. There were antiques, luxury watches, brand new clothes and handbags with tags still on, belts and shoes still in their boxes. All hidden, never mentioned as part of the inheritance. Some items had receipts with them, but neither my sister nor I could wear the clothes. I returned some and started selling the rest online. I remembered, everything left in the house was specifically willed to me. I used the cash I found to pay for urgent repairs, it almost covered everything. From the jewelry, I kept only the few pieces I liked. I'm not a fan of jewelry, so I set aside some for my sister and for Mason's daughter, and sold the rest to save. I also saved some handbags, belts, and watches for my siblings and their families. I invited them over, gave them those things, and told them I'd found them while cleaning, and thought they'd like them. Everyone was happy, and the kids hardly argued. They asked what else I had found, and I explained about the jewelry I kept and the clothes I was selling. My brother gave me a strange look and asked if I had found any money. I said yes, but tried to downplay it, saying it was just coins and loose bills. He asked to see the money, so I showed him a huge water jug where I'd been tossing the coins. He said it was a lot of coins, and asked if I planned to use them at the laundromat. I rolled my eyes. I have a washer and dryer. I told him there was no point in exchanging them until I finished cleaning the entire house. Then he told me to let him know when I was done so we could split the money, and also the clothes I was selling. When I asked why, he said, well, to divide it up. I asked why it should be divided, since they had already received large sums of money, sentimental and valuable items, and other things. Hello, I inherited the house with all its problems and all the cleaning, and I still gave my siblings the nice things I found without them asking. Mason called me greedy and said it didn't matter. My sister looked at me strangely but didn't say anything. I feel guilty for downplaying what I really found, even though I used all of it to improve the house. And just to clarify, all of Mom's debts were paid, and she left money for her funeral and cremation. So, am I the bad one? Update January 1st. I wanted to thank everyone for their kind words and advice. I felt much better after reading so many comments saying I wasn't the bad one. I also took seriously the advice of keep your mouth shut, even though some people said it a bit harshly. Now for the update. My house, it still feels strange to say or write that, already had exterior cameras when I moved in, but I added more along the property line, inside key places in the house, and around the garage. I also put up no trespassing signs while looking for companies to build a proper fence. The lot is small enough that I can afford it. I also changed the locks as soon as I read the advice to do so. I hadn't thought of it since I work from home. Mom also had a spare key hidden in a flower pot because my sister constantly lost things, so I made sure to remove it and didn't replace it with the new locks. And it was a good thing that I did all this. Because 2 days after my initial post, I had to go into town for groceries and errands. I live out in the countryside, with neighbors far away, so they wouldn't notice if someone stopped at my place. I got a phone notification for motion and checked, since I wasn't expecting a package. It was my brother, getting out of his car. He looked around and checked the windows. He tried his key in the door and got angry when it didn't work. Then he checked the flower pot and kicked it. The cameras around the house let me speak through the speaker, so I said, that was rude. He jumped, spun around, and saw no one. I asked what he wanted. He demanded to know why I had put up cameras. I told him, because I'm a woman living alone in the woods. Are you an idiot or what? He shifted from one foot to the other before saying he'd come back so we could talk, and then he left. I sent the video of him trying to get in while I was gone, to him, to his wife, to my sister, and to her fiancé. I added a message. I changed the locks because I don't know who Mom may have given copies to, like her friends. And I have cameras. After this attempt to come in while I wasn't home, no one will be getting a new key. I don't try to enter your homes when you're not there. He sent me a bunch of nasty messages afterward, trying to shame me for doing it. I replied, don't do things you don't want others to find out about. That reflects on you, not me. He called me a bitch and then blocked me. My sister thinks I went too far by telling his wife, because now she's threatening to take the kids to her mother's house. She also thinks I went too far by showing her fiancé, because now he doesn't want my brother to have a key to his house for emergencies. Somehow, I have the feeling this still isn't over. It's time to get a dog, a really big one. Comments about getting geese instead of dogs. Yes, I've had geese before, I can confirm. One of them broke my elbow once because I got too close to his mate during mating season. They're ferocious. Yes, geese handle things whether you're home, whether you're not, or whenever they feel like it. I've also heard peacocks are great for alarms, very loud, but not guards the way geese are. Also, OP, you have to post pictures of your guard geese if you get them. In Canada, we call Canadian geese cobra chickens. Update 2. First, thanks to everyone who made new comments and gave more advice. In particular, I really enjoyed the whole mini thread about guard geese, super interesting and honestly kind of sweet. But I have a terrible fear of birds, so I'm going to adopt a pair of dogs instead, from my local shelter. Once my name is cleared from the list of cruel to animals, that list of awful people who aren't allowed to adopt, I'll be able to bring them home. Sorry, no photos yet. Honestly, I wasn't sure if I would make another post, and if I did, it would be when this whole mess was resolved once and for all. I've started keeping a written record, both with the police and with a family friend lawyer. I documented the attempted break-in, though I didn't press charges. But I did have the police and my lawyer speak with my brother and put him on notice. He ended up getting new phone numbers, yes, plural, just to contact and harass me. He told me I had embarrassed him and asked how I could send those pigs after him. I took all those messages to my lawyer. We sent out several things, including a cease and desist order, because of the alarming number of calls, texts, private messages on social media, and emails he had sent me. Some of them were full of rage about how I took his kids away. Others were about how he knew the snitching bitch had found money in the house. He never mentioned the Reddit post, and honestly, I'm so fed up I don't care if he sees it anymore. As my lawyer said, you can't touch this, Mason. Anyway, my sister Brittany invited me for coffee and apologized for having taken Mason's side. She said she only wanted to avoid conflict, and thought the three of us could have solved it together instead of involving outsiders. She and her fiancé have an agreement that each one handles their own family, especially for disputes. So because I sent him the video before she could even react, it felt like an invasion, like I gave her no chance to do anything before her fiancé blew up. I apologized, because I hadn't thought of it that way. I asked her what she would have done if I'd only sent the video to her. She said she probably would have let it sit for a day, thought about it, and then either asked me for more information or confronted Mason herself. She also told me I was a damn idiot for saying the gifts I gave everyone came from the house. She said I should have said something like they were a bonus from work, or something else. I have no reason to trust her, but what she said makes sense. So I'll keep that in mind cautiously. Brittany also admitted she struggles to express her thoughts and emotions in a normal way. Our parents weren't the type to say, get your child tested for this or that, so she's been wrestling with the idea of getting tested for neurodivergence. That said, I found something really strange, and I haven't opened it. In the basement, shoved into a corner, buried behind a shelving unit and under boxes and boxes of stuff, there's an old freezer. It's still plugged in, still running. It was covered in dust in a way that makes me certain it can't have edible food inside. But have you ever had that gut feeling that something just isn't right? Do I open it? Pretend I never saw it? Make someone else open it? Any ideas why it would be hidden like that? A friend joked it was my grandfather's hunting chest, and that it probably has venison from decades ago in it. Honestly, that's possible. Edit about the cruel to animals list. There's a list of people who aren't allowed to adopt because of past behavior. They check it, and if I'm not on it, I get approved. It might just be a local expression here, but it's basically like passing a test or an interview. Update 3. First, thank you to everyone for your advice and ideas on how to find out what was in the freezer. I also have a mini update about Mason. But first, the freezer, since I know a lot of you are curious. I called my lawyer friend, let's call him Lawrence, fake name, wordplay intended, and explained that I needed help with a few things, and that he should come to the house because I had contractors coming and going. When he arrived and saw no one else around, he looked annoyed. But once I explained about the freezer, he laughed and said, if we find a body, I'm running. He was joking as we went down to the basement. This was yesterday. We put on gloves and masks. He held the camera and said identification details like the date, time, address, etc. Then I opened it. Inside, there were important documents sealed in a lot of plastic. There were also old bottles, really jars, of homemade moonshine, pressed flowers inside a book with dates, some money, coins specifically, and a very old porcelain doll. The documents were birth and death certificates going back quite far. It seems that I would have had another brother if he had survived, and 3 more aunts if they had lived, along with even more distant relatives. We think the flowers were from funerals or services, based on the dates where they were pressed. As for the moonshine, the jars looked very old. The only reason I knew it was moonshine was because of Lawrence. He said alcohol doesn't usually freeze. He opened one, and the smell confirmed it. The coins are going to be appraised soon. I'm still checking other places, since I keep finding more, like in the curtains and in other strange spots. Thanks to the commenter who told me to look in the curtains. As for the doll, it looks very old, but it's in good condition. It was in a box, wrapped in cloth, old newspapers, and more. Lawrence thinks the hair on its head is real human hair, because it's definitely not synthetic. I had to dry it out after thawing, and there's a faded name on its foot. Right now, it's sitting on my coffee table. I don't know what to do with it. The dates on the newspapers give us a rough idea of when it was stored. It's very old. Now, about Mason. His wife has filed for divorce. She wants full custody. She has the kids with her at her mother's house. She contacted me and explained that Mason had told her the only thing left was the house, and that it was inherited equally among the 3 of us, and that he was waiting for me to buy out his share. But when she saw the message I'd sent earlier, something didn't add up. So she started investigating. Mason had maxed out all his credit cards. He put their house under a reverse mortgage, even though it was already paid off. He also opened some cards in her name. He never used the life-changing money he inherited to pay any of that off. She's not sure where the money went. But when she froze her credit, he could no longer use the cards he had opened in her name, and that triggered a huge fight. I can't even imagine where all the money went. He doesn't have new cars, no new gadgets, nothing visible. His 2 kids, a 14-year-old girl and a 10-year-old boy, are old enough to understand what's happening. They don't want to talk to him until he explains why they're losing their childhood home, why he hurt their mother, and where all the money went. My niece knows all the accounts are empty, including her college fund, and she's furious. My nephew isn't as worried about college, understandable. Meanwhile, Mason keeps sending me messages, saying everything is my fault, and just being unpleasant in general. I would have blocked him if not for the fact that we're gathering evidence. My sister admitted that he rants to her too, but she doesn't want to make him angry since they live only a few streets apart, making it easy for him to show up at her door. She still doesn't want to stay with me. Construction on my fence should start any day now. Tomorrow, I'll be getting my 2 dogs. I think I finally have everything I need. So that's all for now. Update 4. Sorry it's been a while since the last update. Between the fence, the new dogs, and Mason's problems, I haven't had time to write. First, I'm so sorry, I forgot to share pictures of the dogs. When I have time or remember, I'll post them here. One is a pit bull, the other is a German shepherd. Both are very energetic, even if they're not what most would consider puppies, though to me, they are. Second, thank you all for your wonderful ideas and advice. I passed along the recommendation to my soon-to-be ex-sister-in-law about checking her kids' credit history. I checked mine too. Turns out, the kids already had some credit issues, thanks to Mason. She froze their credit, and I sent Lawrence, my lawyer, still a fake name, to talk to her. He connected her with a colleague who specializes in this kind of case, and that lawyer is now tearing Mason apart legally. My own credit wasn't touched, but I froze it anyway. I also warned my sister to do the same, though I haven't heard back from her yet. To clarify something, when my sister-in-law told me they were drowning with the house, I called it a reverse mortgage. What she actually did was celebrate years ago when they had paid it off. I remembered that. When she froze her credit, she managed to close several cards she hadn't opened herself. I'm not sure how she did it so quickly, but she did. Several of them, in fact. Sorry for the confusion, I was trying to keep things brief. I won't be able to do much about setting up trusts for my niece and nephew, unfortunately. But I am the administrator of the ones my mother left for them. I'm seriously debating whether to tell them or their mother, since there's always the risk Mason will find out. I advanced 3 months' rent to my sister-in-law so she could get her own place, ensuring the courts would have no reason to doubt her stability. Mason is about to lose the house, and I don't want her custody jeopardized. Another reason was so she and the kids could move somewhere he doesn't know about. All contact is now only through lawyers. Mason went to her mother's house while they were away at a school event and trashed the place. They still don't know if he stole anything. He smashed furniture, photos, decorations, destroyed clothing, even his own kids' clothes, and tracked mud all through the house. He slashed her car tires and threatened the neighbors. The neighbors called the police. There was a scuffle during the arrest, and both Mason and a police officer ended up in the ER getting stitches. I don't know how he got the money for bail, but I suspect he pressured our sister Brittany. She has kept absolutely silent through all of this. I even think she might be housing him. His house is about to be taken away at any moment, and my sister-in-law is fighting to keep her car, that's what she told me. Mason hasn't stopped calling and messaging me. He even started a smear campaign on social media, getting our extended family to attack me for not supporting a grieving man who has just lost his mother, his wife, his children, his house, and his dignity. When I spoke with them, I realized he had told them a huge lie, that I was the evil sister who stole everything from him, and that's why I could afford the house renovations. He invented a story that I had a drug problem, and that I wasted all of his money on drugs, rehab, and more. All of it is a lie. Even after I explained the truth, very few of them believed me. My fence is already under construction, and I'm still working on the house. I installed a security system and hid a few baseball bats, because some of the private messages I received about what he might do scared me. Today I added extra locks in the house, and I'm considering either removing the glass sliding door or putting a security grate over it. Lawrence warned me that if I add too much right now, it could hurt my case for a restraining order and for defamation. So if I update, it may not be soon, unless something really serious happens. Comment. Yeah, but what's Lawrence going to do when that haunted doll starts murdering hitchhikers? Does he have experience with supernatural crimes? Before you ask, the Reddit account was suspended. So most likely, this will be the last update.